question a lot with music educators is, do we even have the interest?
That's something I hear you talk about a lot of how do we bridge that gap for students that have interests in music, but those specific interests are not necessarily reflected in their school music program.
Mm-hmm.
So for example, I'm into rap, but
Okay.
there's no rap program. There's no rap program in my school.
Okay.
So what do I do? Is there a place for me?
That's my thinking. Exactly. That's precisely my
Mhm.
thinking. And I think where's the place for me question a lot with music educators is, do we even have the interest? Before we even get to the know-how, do we
Right.
even have the interest of what our students are doing outside of school musically? I don't remember ever being asked, "Hey, like what are you doing like outside of band?"
Like this kid Chris knew that I was interested not necessarily in the music he was doing specifically, but I was interested in him. And since he was interested in that music, he felt safe to come to just talk to me about it, share with me projects that he was doing, ask my advice if I thought it sounded cool. It wasn't reflected in the curriculum, but he was reflected in the class and he took my class for all 4 years and did those types of things. And so that's like the kind of thing I think about when I hear things like you're saying, because I have so many kids, I can't put a technology like a music technology unit in my choir program, but that doesn't mean I can't make that kid feel like his music interests are valued.
Music educators, I would tell anybody that listens, part of our job is convincing and creating that, right?
Yeah.
And
Yep.
although you're listening and you're asking questions and you're interacting, I would ask you, he was welcomed, but was his music welcomed? Because I want to connect with them. But I think there is a greater depth we can go, because the other part about it is when you were explaining, you used the words and it wasn't directly said this way. You said my curriculum. So it's I do
Hmm.
this, I do that, I do this, I do that. Then we start to get into the conversation of, which is actually how we met on the social media, of what do we value as musicianship and music schools and who gets to be
Yeah.
musical.